Business Spotlight from Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon, sponsored by Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce. Join over 1,000 delegates at Uttoxeter Racecourse on the 9th of October for the Let's Do Business Expo by booking your free ticket today.
I'm Sonya Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've only gone and got the Chief Executive of Port Vale Football Club, Matt Hancock. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
How are you?
Excellent, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, Matt, actually, just talking about being professional. Now, you are the CEO of Port Vale Football Club, which must come with its pressures in itself. But before we go into that and go on to, to asking you loads more questions, what is the role of a CEO at a football club?
Well, pressure, I think, is a good word, but privilege, I think. And when you're chief exec of a football club, the first thing that you have to accept is the responsibility that comes with that title and that role. And I try to remember that every single day. So the privilege I have of walking in Vale Park as chief executive of the football club, and I suppose my role is ultimately to make sure that as a team of people led by obviously Carol and Kevin as the owners of the club, but then right the way through, that we are making decisions that are in the best interests of Port Vale Football Club. And that is, in a nutshell, what my role's about. It's leading the team. It's setting the culture that we want or we believe is the right one for Port Vale as a club, and that is how we want to represent our community, how we want to represent our supporters, and also how they expect us to represent them, because that's something that I think is really important as a chief exec of a football club. And one of the big differences between chief exec of another business is the influence that you need to understand that does come from, in our case, 150 years of history, heritage, memories, family connections, and everything else in between. So, yeah, I think I've answered the question there. And there's obviously a hell of a lot more that goes with it. But I definitely think it's the privilege of the role, and then the responsibility that you have of setting the tone for the football club and what it represents to its community. And
you mentioned culture there as well. And, I've had many businesses in here on Business Spotlight, and we've talked about culture and how those relationships as well and those values translate to the outside. I mean, it might sound like an obvious question again, but how important is it, again, as a football club, to have those local business relationships as well?
Well, it's imperative. I think that, again, I suppose clubs do it differently, I must admit, but for Port Vale, and in particular in our case from Carol and Kevin again, who sort of set the agenda for me, I suppose, in terms of their values and how they translate into Port Vale values. And a lot of that is about the relationships that we have locally, making sure that we're growing as a football club and we are taking opportunities, but we don't do that to jeopardize local relationships or giving opportunities to businesses that have a similar set of values to us and want the best for Stoke-on-Trent, for Staffordshire, for the local community.
We've talked about values and everything and what the culture is. How do you get that out to people outside of the pitch who might not even be supporters of the actual football team?
I think some of that is doing things like this, to be fair. I think part of it, my role I see is communicating who we are, what we're about, why we're doing what we're doing, and trying to get that connection with so many different people across the local area, but even wider than that, to be fair. Port Vale supporters that have been Port Vale supporters for many moons and many years, I think need less persuasion probably to stay connected. But even, the Vale fans that I talk to that have had, dads, granddads, great-granddads and everyone else that have been connected to Vale still want to know that their football club has been led in a way that they'd be proud of. And I think that is, for me, where the club has always been rooted in community. Football clubs in general up and down the country were built for communities. They were built to bring people together, to give people something to celebrate and be proud of after a long, hard working week. And I again believe that we have a duty as a football club to make sure that we do that. And that is, of course, it's winning football games and it's having a team that can try and do that. But more importantly, from a selfish point of view, when we're talking about representing Port Vale or helping people connect to the football club in a different way, from the players right the way through, it's ensuring that people understand they need to connect to the supporters, they need to connect to the local community, and equally they can see that. So creating a football team, which I think we've definitely tried to do, that displays the characteristics of, you know, our local community. So, you know, working hard, being together, being adaptable, being valiant ultimately is what we've tried to do with the team. And then if our supporters in the community see that connection, they're more likely to sort of buy into that and want to, you know, or can see where we're going, so they want to be part of the journey. And again, we try and do that in the football club. So we've had a real change over the last couple of years in driving high performance. So we believe that anyone that represents the club's crest should feel an honour and a privilege in doing so, and with that comes a need to walk through again the doors at Vale Park or wherever they are and out in the community delivering, and deliver at their best every single day. So high performance is a huge part of what we're trying to drive at Vale, but doing that with a real people-centred approach. So doing that with an understanding that every individual's different, every individual has different wants and needs and different motivations for doing what they do, and us trying to understand that as a leadership group and a leadership team hopefully then gets the best out of our staff, which in turn again connects them to, you know, community, to supporters and to businesses. And, you know, we very much trying to connect with the right businesses who have very, very similar views and the way that the world works as, you know, as us here at Port Vale.
Yeah, and, you know, I'll be totally honest and transparent. I am a member of the Port Vale Business Club as well. And there's a lot of things that I hear is about the power of the badge. And for me, from everything that you've just talked about there, that brand, just like any business looking in, it is, again, like you say, it's getting across that message to no matter who it is, whether it's you're looking for a business associate, a new client or a supporter, it is, again, getting that brand awareness out there. And the power of the badge as well can be quite influential in many ways. Yeah,
it can. And but ultimately, I think where we've tried to change is to not just expect the badge to connect people or expect the badge to be the brand that brings people to want to be part of Port Vale. So we've done a lot of work from a comms point of view, a marketing point of view on the story of Port Vale. Naturally, it's helped with, you know, the 12 months that we've just had with the promotion and going into our 150th year as a football club. So we've been able to create the story of Port Vale, which allows us to sort of sell the club to people. And we've been really proud of how that's been built, you know, throughout our, you know, media marketing and comms team. Ryan Grant has come in over the last 12 months or so and started to really look at our content and making it feel like there is a connection, not just to the badge, but the reason why that badge exists. And I think that's the bit that when we now stand up in front of anyone or we go and talk, you know, at business, you know, our business club or other business clubs, or we're connecting, if there's an individual meeting with a partner or a prospective partner, we've got a positive story to tell about Port Vale. And I think brand awareness is great in football because you've obviously got that without really having to do too much. But a brand without a story and a brand without any real meaning doesn't go, you know, much further than, in our case, that you know, those hardcore Vale fans they're going to be with us through thick, thin, and everything else in between. But for us to grow, we've got to grow our story and make more and more people connect to it.
Yeah, and talking about growth and also that story and developing that story, it was in July this year, I believe, that it was announced that Port Vale Football Club have actually received 2.3 million of government funding, and this is to go towards, you know, the Vale Park Community Campus, if I'm correct. But what does that mean, Matt? What does the Vale Park Community Campus mean, not just for the general public, but also for local regeneration?
Hopefully it's going to be really, really positive. That's what it's going to mean for the local area. I think, again, when from a football club point of view, my belief is that football has an obligation to understand where they sit in community and understand that part of their whole being is to improve the local area that they reside in, that they sit in, that they have influence over ultimately. And yes, again, it goes back to not losing sight that we need a successful football team, but we have to, as a club, protect the heritage and the history of everything that it means. If in our example, if Burslem lost Port Vale Football Club, I think what does Burslem become? I genuinely feel there'd be a huge void in such an important town, and amongst the city of Stoke-on-Trent, and what we're hoping the Burslem Community Campus or Vale Park Campus is going to start creating is that real demonstration from the football club, very much in partnership with the City Council and so many more people that will be connected as we go through this journey, that they're going to be part of something a lot bigger, that's going to be bringing aspiration back to parts of Stoke-on-Trent and wider education, employment, just raising, I suppose, confidence and self-esteem that we're able to give to people that without it just isn't there. And I think that the government funding that's coming in initially is going to enable us to develop the area at the back of Vale Park, so Dimensions, which I know many people will be familiar with, and a lot of it is going to be on improving walkways, lighting, CCTV, ultimately making the place feel safe for people to start accessing the area behind there, for whether that's wellbeing walks, whether that's activity, whether that's a park run, whether that's lots of different activity. But on top of that, there will be some real physical improvements to the area, from special educational needs playgrounds to community spaces for education, changing areas, improvement to the grassed pitches and things on there. So a real opportunity for us to try and connect, as again, maybe biased in saying it, but I believe Port Vale are at the centre of a lot of really good stuff in Burslem anyway, and Vale Park Campus should really start connecting that whole area together and creating a well-being and an education hub that creates opportunity for so many. And that is about Burslem, but it's absolutely about wider than that as well, and improving Stoke-on-Trent as a city and then Staffordshire as a county.
Yeah, and then from what you're just saying there, I've got in my head like a vision of all these different things trickling out. A facility like that, of what I'm imagining anyway, it could open up so much more, whether it's either other businesses coming in or people from outside of the area perhaps, to take advantage, but also learn about Stoke-on-Trent. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm proud to be from this area. That's one thing that I'm really proud, again, of obviously leading Port Vale in the way that I am currently in the role that I've got. But I'm really proud of being able to sit in a position that can help influence amongst obviously so many other people. And Burslem is it's a wonderful place. And I think for us to be able to, with partners, unlock some of the potential that has probably been sitting dormant for way too many years. And, we've got the Lemmy statue that, every time I drive in and out of Burslem now, I see people around the Lemmy statue, a couple of people here, a dozen people there. And you can see that there's a bit of life being brought in with the Lemmy statue coming in, and there's plenty of other projects alongside obviously our campus initiative that we're going to be a part of. So there's a Burslem Regeneration Trust, and then the council that are looking at setting up there's a meeting in a couple of weeks about getting key stakeholders around the table to just align all the projects that are going on across Burslem, but then again across Stoke-on-Trent. And we see ourselves, and this is the football club, as a key player in all of that. And we want to be supportive of our own projects, but actually what else can be shaped in Burslem, and then how we can help, hopefully, influence businesses to get involved, other partners to get involved, and really, again, going back to tell the story of Burslem and Stoke-on-Trent, and unlock the potential. Because I think we spend a lot of time talking about, and I particularly do at times when with my Port Vale Foundation hat on, talking about the issues and the problems, and and some of the not so nice things to talk about what go on in the city, and how we're going to tackle some of the challenges. And we are trying our hardest to to flip that, to actually say, hang on, there was also so much opportunity, so much growth, so much great things, so much amazing business, so much, so much good stuff going on. It's not to forget about the challenges, but it's actually, and I try to be like this anyway, but focus on the positive, because the more we talk positive, the more positive things happen. I'm a believer in that. So if we can be in more and more of those conversations, hopefully it helps Port Vale, of course, but equally we want to make sure it's good for business, it's good for the local area, the economy, and everything else in between.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with you there. And, something I always say a lot of the time is positivity breeds positivity. And yes, there is certain things which are maybe not so good in the area, but, there is a lot of potential. And one word that you did mention earlier, Matt, is about unlocking that potential. Now, I'm just going to bring you back to the football club as well. And as well as, what is coming for the future with the community campus and all of that. And we've talked about raising aspirations. But there might be some career opportunities that even like younger people within the area might not even realise what kind of roles and what's involved in the sort of the back room of a football club. Can you just explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, we go from... we're around about 100 odd members of staff during the week to 400 members of staff on a match day, and that and you're right, there's so much opportunity that connects into football in terms of people that want to be involved in the football, the football department, and the bit that I guess is the bit that we don't need to sell. So coaching, playing, being part of, that football delivery, I guess, but then so much wider than that. Now we've got 12 different departments in the football club, and that, it ranges from our, hugely successful catering team. So we have a catering team that deliver, and we often get complimented that it's, it is Premier League standard food, and we alongside that, there's obviously the match day, but there's so much that goes on with our conference and events team. So we lead a lot of events at the football club that are non-football. So we have businesses that are in for some of their off-site days, or we'll have the NHS that will come in for conferences. We've got lots of things that go on in the world of conference and events, and obviously the catering side. I'll mention the media, marketing and comms. We've got a team there which a big part of their delivery is around the men's first team, but then for people that have got, and we've got those within our team now, they've got a real interest in either videography or community or women and girls or the academy, actually more of a developmental sort of media mind. Then there's so many opportunities for them to get involved. We've got analysis, we've got medical and our performance team, so physiotherapists that we employ. We've got a finance team, a HR team. We've got a partnerships team, as I know Laura's been on before. So we've got so many opportunities for people to just get involved. And I almost forgot about and they'll go mad about this if they ever do listen to it, and our grounds team and in the maintenance side. So we've got we have a hugely successful grounds team and the maintenance team that look after our facilities. So there's a lot of opportunities in football. And one thing with football, whether you're a supporter of a certain team or you're a real follower of football or not, what the industry is it's unlike any other. And and you've heard it so many times from people that get a job in football and suddenly they become a football fanatic. It sort of drags you in, and that goes back to that sense of community, how people do get attracted to being part of something a little bit greater, I think, and a little bit bigger than themselves, I suppose, and feeling like you've got a family around you that can help you through difficult times, can give you real highs, can give you some ultimate lows as well. But you get a feeling of your job's part of something that can make a difference. And I think that is why I love football, because I feel like we can make a difference through the power of football and the brand. And there's no better example than our our foundation, and making a difference through football, but not through kicking a ball. And the work that the foundation does, obviously they're going to be the main deliverer of the Vale Park campus, but the work that they do across the local area is phenomenal. So we've got support workers, we've got different types of practitioners, we've got lots of different people that again are definitely not football coaches, far from it, but they're able to be part of a football club because their skill set says they can, and their energy and values and their sort of interest in football then sort of comes with it. Yeah,
100%. I'm just going to ask you another thing, Matt. You've already mentioned the 150th season for Port Vale Football Club. I'm just going to ask you if you can quickly as well just mention, what does this mean? I don't mean on the pitch. We'll leave that to the managers and talk about that another day. But off the pitch, what does the 150th season actually mean to you? Because I know obviously, you sound very passionate, of course, of being the CEO of Port Vale Football Club. But what does it mean off the pitch?
It means that the biggest thing it means is opportunity. When I've got take away the emotional bit, I suppose, of the going back to privilege, I'm chief exec of the football club in the 150th anniversary year, which is, a huge privilege. But when I look at the job and the job to do, it's an opportunity for us to really grab hold of the story of the 150 years and how we can connect to old business. So we've used it as a chance to try and reconnect with businesses that have been involved in Port Vale 20, 30, 40 years ago and have sort of lost that connection. So we're using this opportunity to go, look, get part of get back and be part of the journey moving forwards. We're using it as a chance to entice people to, come and join this next 150 years that we want to be, really starting to drive and deliver. And an opportunity for us to do things a little bit differently this year. So we're going to be launching a Hall of Fame, which the club hasn't got a Hall of Fame. So it's an opportunity to connect the supporters. So I think it's going to be very much supporter led. But again, from a business point of view, it gives us commercial opportunities to look at how again we bring new businesses in. We look at sponsorship opportunities. We look at the commercial story of Port Vale and how we do need to make sure that we're looking at our revenue and we're taking opportunities, and the 150th year gives us the opportunity to do that. We made the decision on the front of shirt this season going into the 150th year, which was a calculated risk, I'd say. That we thought leading into it, we wanted to be and I've made no secret that I want to listen to supporters. It doesn't mean that we're always going to accept or give supporters exactly what they want all the time, but there's a commitment to listen, and part of that was understanding that the football club means something different to people that have been connected for so many years, and understanding the journey that people have been on. And that's why we wanted to give that nod of the classic kit. Look, we're not I would hate Port Vale to be described as corporate. I just don't think it's us. I don't think it's the local area. I don't think it's the people. It's not me. I wouldn't like us to be called corporate. And I think the decision around the front of shirt was to not just to demonstrate that, but it was to say, look, we're never going to forget where we've come from and who we are. But what it also has done is presented the opportunity for us to engage with potential front of shirt opportunities moving forward, and to demonstrate that a front of shirt can give someone huge exposure, but equally shirt sales for us this time have been we've well over doubled what we've done over the last couple of years. And when we're looking at the numbers in terms of the social views that it's had and the interactions across the world and everything that it's had, it's been amazing commercially for us to be able to show that and demonstrate that to potential front of shirt businesses moving forward. So look what you can be part of moving forward. So I think the biggest word on the 150th is definitely opportunity, and we've done a lot of talking about that in the club. We've got a make sure we maximise that, one for the experience for supporters, but two from a business point of view from Port Vale Football Club, because you don't get this chance very often. Well, once in 150 years, so I don't think I'm going to get it again.
You never know, Matt. You never know. Matt, you've been an absolute star. Thank you so much for coming on Business Spotlight. If we have time, will you come back?
100%. No, if you'll have me back.
We will do. That's Matt Hancock, Chief Executive of Port Vale Football Club, here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight from Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon, sponsored by Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce. Join over 1,000 delegates at Uttoxeter Racecourse on the 9th of October for the Let's Do Business Expo by booking your free ticket today.